You ride it all with a gentle mind. This is love, this is life, this is power. Every plane they turn to a golden hour. You give strength, you give joy, you make me see. All I need is right here with my family. Heart wide open, standing in your hand. I'm a better man because of you. Oh, red ticker, blue screen. Your face on the feed. Phone lit up at 3 a.m. Push alert with your first and last name. Spinning headlines, all caps, all flame. Like the whole damn world just changed. And curries with the frozen smile. Slow scroll at the bottom of the dial. Every frame, yeah, they loop your file. Can mute you for a little while. It's just you're under my skin. You're here, you're my weakness again. You're here in my head. You're here, you're my breaking. John can't They quote you, but they don't know you. Soundbite love in a crowded room. Studio glow on the cardboard moon. Cuts on my heart coming into view. I'm the girl yelling back at the screen. Let's crash the glow, stuck in between. Every update pulls me back to seeing you're the lead in my private scene. It's just you're under my skin. Don't get over. You're my breaking news again. You're right in my head. Don't get over. You're my breaking. Don't get over Is it real or a segment? Am I live or a comment? Your name crawls through my veins. Lower third spells me fate. It's just you're under my skin. Don't give up. You're breaking us again. to my heart coming into view. I'm the girl yelling back at the screen. Left, right in the glow, stuck in between. Every update puts me back to the scene. You're the lead in my private scene. It's just me. You're under my skin. I'm breaking news again all night long. You're rewriting my head. You're not breaking, breaking, breaking. Breaking every news. Or segment, Himalayas, or comet, your name cross through my veins. Lower third spells my it's just it, you're not scared. Trying to keep I'm breaking news again all night long. You're running my head. Trying to keep breaking, breaking, breaking. Trying to get over There's 500,000 paramilitary, like Basij and so on and so forth. There's 500,000 soldiers that are Sepa and Artish, okay? Then you have your leadership, your mullahs, your clerics, so on and so forth, okay? Right. I think one portion, at least of the foot soldiers, are people that are there mandatory, that have no allegiance to the regime. Maybe their brothers and sisters and mothers were the ones that were marching on January 8th and 9th, okay? Identify those people, okay? Mm-hmm. Take that out of the calculation. Then look at the people that are in Sepa, that are running a lot of the economies or the mafia type service, that are there mainly just to make money. They probably couldn't give a shit what the religion was or what was going on. They just care about the money, okay? Yeah. Those are people that could potentially be bribed to come stand with the people. Then you just work your way and see how you can crack this organization. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing's going to be 100 proof. But look to see where you can break that system down, okay? Mm-hmm. Bribe where you can bribe, selectively, targetedly kill where you have to kill, assassinate where you have to assassinate, but have a majority of that done within the country. Now, outside of the country, you have to have a leader that's galvanizing, meaning someone like a Reza Pahlavi, okay? But somebody who is inclusive of all of Iran's minority groups, someone who says, like, I have a board of, like, let's call it, like, for example, board of revolution, okay? Mm-hmm. And you have one person that is, Sunni, Shia, you have a Baha'i, Zarathushtri, you have every single political, religious, and ethnic group in Iran involved in there. And that will be like the equivalent of our Zionist Congress. We're going to sit down, we're going to figure out how to come together, bring all the people of Iran, both in the diaspora and inside together, form a unified message, and then you just start figuring out, okay, now within the regime, you find the cracks there, you have power structure outside of the country that can coordinate strategically with people in the country. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is Whenever there's an uprising, what's the first thing they do? They shut off the internet. Okay, figure out how to penetrate Iran's system, telecommunications, so that they can't do that.
So they tried to do it this year, but they bought shit from China, and it didn't work.
So that's what I'm saying is this stuff needs to be planned out. This is not a 1 or 2 day operation. This is something that may take
10 years
to develop. Yeah, 10 years. If you want to defeat Germany, you cannot underestimate it. Okay?
Yep.
In the meantime, you have to work it from multiple angles. Finally, I'll say this. If U.S. was willing to spend $3 trillion each in Iraq and Afghanistan to no avail, maybe they will be willing to set a portion of their budget aside to say, okay, we will put this portion aside to support whoever the opposition leader is abroad to get that change. Okay?
Like
this person, what's that?
Like Karzai in Afghanistan that fall in 2 seconds after they left?
No, not like Karzai. Not like Muhammad Karzai. I'm not talking about a puppet of the West Sea. What I'm talking about is someone who is Iran. Okay, fine. What I'm trying to say is, then if they're not going to do it, then Iranians themselves need to go find all the millionaires and billionaires that are outside of Iran and get funding from them and say, we're going to develop our own fucking slush fund and do it ourselves. Really, I believe that the best solution, when I say, like everybody misunderstands me, when I say a successful revolution has to come from within, I'm not talking about reformist, Islah Talab. What I'm talking about is a coordination from outside of Iran and inside of Iran. A coordination that is Iran first, not U.S. first, not Israel first. Now, if U.S. and Israel's interest align with our interest, if it aligns with our interest, then great. We can take your surgical strikes when needed. We will tell you what we need. Don't come in there and serve your interest. Don't attack our oil refineries and our infrastructure and all this just to make us weak.
Yep.
Do something that actually helps us as a people.
It's not. Those are the people that want you weak, that want you like.
I know. Z,
like,
I understand that. Z, it's not an easy task, but I truly in my heart, I believe it's not impossible. I'm not gonna. Maybe Israel doesn't give a fuck about us.
It is very possible. It is very possible. That's how we had empire. It is in this mindset.
Let me give you guys one other option, okay? If you can't get money, like millions of dollars or billions of dollars to bribe IRGC officials, think of it this way. If you have a strong enough network and organization, okay, where the people there believe that if they defect, they will be given amnesty and they will be able to, even if they don't hold office, they will not be killed and tortured or whatever, okay? Just think of, you say, listen, when we get Iran to be free, we have coordination with our politicians that we have dealt with in the international community that sanctions will be removed. Imagine the wealth that comes into the country just by sanctions removal. That right there, the promise of that is something that I think you can convince people to say, listen, when we get the sanctions removed, we'll take care of you. You want to go somewhere else and get political asylum?
They would destroy you to take your shit for free without any.
No, let me say one thing. Let me say one thing.
No.
Okay, Z, fine. Yeah, we can do.
This is a different people you're dealing with. We, Iranians know that they're not coming to really help. They're very smart like that.
Trump and Netanyahu kind of broke every fucking law in the United Nations, saying we're gonna take it as ours now and to do it now in the pursuit of whatever they see fit, whatever they see right. France and Germany and all of them came and said, we're going to need to aid America in its own purpose. We're going to launch our carrier to defend. These people, they have one mentality and one mentality only. Western Empire, and as long as the colonies trying to get rid and be independent for real, we're gonna get them back to submission. And that's what happened to you before.
With us, it doesn't happen.
It already happened to you before with the Shah before.
No.
Like, how the fight was when the Shah took over.
We have prize.
Z, I'm not saying I would never, if I like, let's say if I were head of this organization, I would never take help from Israel. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would take help from other places that are not trying to necessarily extend their hegemony in the region. Okay. And I'm not saying that necessarily that has to happen. That I'm not saying that you necessarily even need help from the outside.
Okay. Paco, can you give me an example of a country today? A country that's an example for Iran to be after the destruction.
I can't. Nope.
You
there
can't,
is none.
right?
There is none. That's why everything seems insane and impossible until it's fucking done. And what I would tell you is there's a lot of Iranians are very
Germany,
nationalistic.
if you want to give an example.
You think Germany, the one that actually putting fucking Israel before its own citizens?
No, I'm not talking about. I don't know.
That's Germany. I'm talking about.
I'm not talking about Israel. I'm talking about Germany.
I'm talking about Germany.
They helped Germany build. Yeah.
The security. They helped building it because it was at the time convenient to them to bring Germany into the fold. It's a colony. They cannot make up your own mind.
It's not a good example because. But here's what I'm gonna like. We can't compare. Like the comparison is wrong. But here's the thing: we barely get one because of the sanctions we have now, and also when this the RGC sells our oil, for example. Let me explain. So when the RGC, for example, sells the oil, the people don't get any of that, and also even RGC itself doesn't sell oil anywhere near what Saudi Arabia does because of all the sanctions going on. But imagine US comes and helps us take over the revolution. I'm just being imaginary right now. As an Iranian, I don't mind giving 50% of the profit to the US because the Iranians are getting nothing right now. Imagine you have a car for sale, you can sell it to CarMax for 20 grand. If I'm able to sell it for 30 grand and give you 25, would you accept it or not? I would. I don't care if you're selling it for 200. If I can sell it more than 20K, you can give me 22 and I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, there's the thing about some Iranians that they're very they don't want to be pragmatic, right? If I were to say, be involved in whatever this revolution board, I would say, listen, you take help wherever the fuck you can get it. Okay? If it means you have to get help from this person or that person, as long as we have a high degree of confidence that it's going to work, you take that help. I'm sorry to use this expression for my own people. I'm a very prideful Iranian myself, but beggars can't be choosers. And I think that's what Ash is trying to say. So yeah, if you can use your future wealth, your oil wealth, and Iran has a lot of natural resources, not just oil. The largest, one of the world's largest deposits of lithium was found in Hamadan. We have a lot of gas. We have a lot of natural resources. Put their hands on it. I know. Z, what you're not understanding, all due respect, is I'm not talking about getting help from current day Republican, Trump, MAGA people, and Netanyahu's Likud party. What the strategy that I'm talking about could take 10 years. Who knows who the fuck is going to be running the world at that time?
Do you think there's different policies between the Democrat and the Republican when it comes to foreign policy?
I'm saying that I may not even ask anyone outside for help. Do you understand? When things align, when
I'm roasting the shit out of this woman Z in the chat.
Then there may be foreign government to help because it benefits them. Okay? I don't think Israel would ever help us because at least the Likud party, this